All right, Ben. So we're going to flow through the games that happened last week. Last week was week 10, right?
Correct.
And we'll just go back and take a quick look at what the Bias Plus report said about those games. Starting with the Chargers at the Raiders, the Bias Plus score 47. Favored the Chargers.
I also favored the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, that's what we talked about. You said.
I said the Chargers should win easily. I'm paraphrasing, but I believe I used the word easy.
Somewhere in that, yeah.
Yeah, and I then promptly watched the game and embarrassed myself. And then continued to embarrass myself for the rest of the weekend with all the games that I picked wrong, but we'll get into that.
It was
a debacle.
Yeah, it was crazy. Then we've pretty much been in that 60 to, at the lowest, let's say 50 to 80% range.
I don't think we've gone as low as 50. I think we've always been in the high 50s.
Okay. So in that range,
yeah,
on every game up to this week.
Me and the Bias Plus.
And thinking that the earlier games would be harder, would be less consistent in terms of the results because it was the first or the second preseason,
right,
as we would call the first
quarter. We haven't seen
those
this
people
team
are still
yet.
trying to figure they hadn't played together now.
Right.
But so many things have happened now between the trades and like Minka Fitzpatrick, injuries, and all of that.
A lot of quarterbacks going down.
Somebody said this is the year of the backup quarterback.
Yes, it is.
And so now at week 10, that team is not the same team.
That's correct.
Much less some of the attitude changes. So congratulations. Let me throw this out. Oh, well, I'll leave that till later. We'll mention that. So let's get started. We were talking about the Chargers game with the Raiders, right?
Yeah.
And let me say this much, because I was going to save it for a rant, but I'm going to throw it in right now.
Are you got? Okay, go ahead. Do you think?
I'm listening to the commentary and things of that nature, and they're talking about the Chargers have a newfound commitment to the run. Melvin Gordon is back; he's looking better, et cetera, et cetera. And then that final drive that the Chargers had to win the game, I thought their commitment to the run showed as being extremely weak at that point.
The commitment was weak?
Yes, to the run.
Okay.
Okay. Because, number one, as soon as they get close to the goal line, right, they go right into a spread with no back. So that automatically kind of say, you're not really committed to the run, right? I mean, I know you got Phillip Rivers back there. People starting to question his arm a little bit now. Ooh, yeah. Somebody said that, when he's throwing the ball and it's completed, successful, and you're looking at that weird throwing motion, and you're going, okay, that's Phillip Rivers. But then when it's not successful and you're looking at that weird throwing motion, it just looks that much uglier.
Yeah.
And he got a couple interceptions.
3.
Yeah, okay, 3 interceptions. And then I was comparing that to the Raiders' winning drive. Okay, where they literally scored on a running play. On a running play.
But they mixed it up.
They mixed it up. The Chargers were having trouble controlling the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
A la my Niners with Garoppolo back there. And as I always say, if you're going to be a statue, you got to be decisive. The ball's got to come out. You can't be standing back there, because once they see they're winning that battle, they're just coming for you. And they had 3 timeouts. There was plenty of time and 3 timeouts to get short pass. You didn't have to go 15, 20 yards deep to complete a play.
Right.
You could have threw something underneath 5, let them get 10, let them get 5, 6, because they're giving any team that's going to try to keep you from scoring, they're going to give you a little something underneath. And if you hurry up You don't even have to use your timeouts. You know, you can hurry up on a 5-yard slant that's completed because you don't have to run 30 yards. You only got to go 5 yards and reset up. So you can move pretty quickly on shorter.
That's
on a run.
True, but the problem with that is if you're unsuccessful on one of those, now you're
unsuccessful on the pass, like a short pass.
Yeah.
Well, the clock stops in that case.
I understand that, but you lose down. So now you got the down going against you. So you have to find that balance between keeping the chains moving.
That's what you got to do. You got to keep the chains moving.
Right.
But again, they had time and they had 3 timeouts. So I'm saying
that's why
you could combine all of those things a little.
Because if things don't go well, you have the time.
You got the timeouts. Right. So you by shortening things up, you can beat the rush.
Right.
You can still be in not, you know, the Tom Brady type hurry up. You know, the no huddle. Let's just get on down here, set it up, and go. And if it's a 30-yard completion, that's harder to do because you got to move all the way down, get everybody down to the goal. You know,
but you got a first down, you come down, you clock it.
Right, but I'm just saying, relative to how it affects your ability to run the hurry up. In that case, you would clock it or you just call your timeout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to remember the defense has to get down there too.
You got plenty.
And they have to get on side.
You got plenty of options, is what I was saying, to manage that drive. Yes. And I just didn't think that for a team who supposedly had a commitment to the run, that they showed that commitment to the run in crunch time.
It looked like poor play calling to me on top of the fact that they didn't show the commitment to the run. And yet, forget commitment. Do what the Raiders did. Mix it up. Show me some run. It's not like they can't run the ball. Melvin Gordon had a decent day. It's not like they can't run the ball. It's not like they can't put Eckler in the game and run him out of the backwards and throw a swing backfield and throw swing passes to him, which he racks up yardage on those kind of plays. They didn't mix any of that in. They put it all on Rivers.
And when you say they, okay, we're talking about coaching now.
That is correct.
Yes, Mr. Lynn, head coach. There's some real questions now.
Well, he doesn't call plays for them. I don't think he has an offensive coordinator who calls the plays. But when you're game planning during the week, you're supposed to go through all your scenarios. When you're practicing, you practice your 2-minute offense. You practice your we're driving for a field goal offense. You practice all of that. Something just didn't look right.
Let's move to the Falcons and the Saints. All right. So that was a bias plus of 138 favored the Saints. What did you think about that game?
I lost that one and the bias lost that one. Completely, the wheels completely fell off for the Saints coming off of a bye. I'm embarrassed for them. They should be totally embarrassed, especially coming off a bye against a division opponent that they see all the time, that they should know extremely well and should have been more than prepared for because they're better than them. Drew Brees comes out, throws no touchdown passes. Are you kidding me? I don't know what happened, but that was something went wrong there. I don't know if they took them lightly. And yes, even in the pros, I believe that happens. It's not just Little League. It's not just high school. It's not just flag football, where I have witnessed and experienced that happening all the time, where you just take a team lightly. Maybe you beat them before, or maybe you beat teams that they lost to terribly. You just can't help it. And then the game starts and you realize, uh-oh, this is their day and it's too late and you can't turn it on. That's the way what seems like to me what happened to the Saints. I have no other explanation.
Yeah. Again, this was part of a very weird weekend.
Ryan didn't even have a big day throwing the ball. I don't think he threw for like 200 or something. It was crazy.
Atlanta 20th in points per game. So they
yeah, but Sunday he did not rack up a lot of points.
Well,
or a lot of yards.
The Saints, in terms of points per game, where are they at? New Orleans, they're 16th. So they're 22 points a game. They must have had a couple good games under to Teddy.
Teddy played well. Teddy made some money. Teddy made more money than Dak.
I know. Talking about a referendum
In less games.
You know. All right. Cardinals, Buccaneers. Favored the Buccaneers by a score of 26.
And I got this one right.
Did you?
Yes, I did. When you got a quarterback like Jameis Winston, who just, first of all, he's one of the favorite fantasy quarterbacks out there because nobody ever drafts him, but you always pick him up somewhere around game 4, game 5, right before, right after their bye or whatever, because he's going to throw for 300 plus every week, and he's going to go throw for 2 touchdowns or more every week. And if you play fantasy that doesn't take away points for interceptions, he's like gold. Now, if you take away for interceptions and fumbles, then he's not so much like gold, but he still consistently puts up the numbers. So they were due to win a game.
Tampa Bay, as we said, ranked 3rd in points for per game in the league.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, what you're saying is, shows
and that's
up.
Basically without a running game. They really don't have a real running game. That's Jameis and Mike Evans and my man Godwin. Penn State, baby.
Oh, is that where he went?
Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff. Yeah, State got to get their thing together, don't they?
They lost a game they weren't supposed to lose. I think they looked ahead to the Ohio State game and Minnesota jumped them. Again, taking somebody lightly. They were having a tremendous season. That team's better than the Saquon team. Better than the Saquon McSorley team. That team they got right now, yes. Man for man, yes.
Lost to, what is it, Gophers?
Minnesota.
Is that what they are? The
Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Speaking of taking lightly, Chiefs at Titans with a bias score of 42 favoring the Chiefs.
I don't think they took them lightly. I think the Titans came at them. But I took the Chiefs. I went with the bias. Lost, and I should have known better because the Chiefs were on the road. No, they were on the road. Mahomes just coming back. Blah, blah, blah. And the Titans are playing solid defense. And Derrick Henry's got all engines moving now. But again, I wasn't a full believer in Tannehill, even though he's basically taking Mariota's job away from him convincingly. Because at first it was like, oh, we're not sure which one we're going to start. You know what I mean? We're going to go, if he plays good, then we'll put him back in. If he plays bad, then we'll put him back in. Tannehill has taken that job away. And he was stellar as far as I'm concerned in this game. He was stellar. Derrick Henry's running people over. He's like Beast Mode Jr.
Mariota's going to be at the tryout with Kaepernick. We'll talk about that later.
He'll turn up somewhere, but I don't think. Well, no. They're paying him starter money. They'll probably get rid of him. They'll draft the quarterback.
That's what I'm saying.
It's supposed to be a good quarterback class.
He's going to be somewhere. He's going to be somewhere else.
Yeah, it'll be somewhere else, right?
Somewhere else. Lions at Bears, oh my.
It better not be Baltimore. They have him, RG3.
Did he win? He didn't win coming out of college.
Mariota?
Yeah.
He won Heisman. I think he did.
Oh my Lord, jeez.
But he ran the option, for
Chip. He ran, okay.
He was with Chip in Oregon.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, can you imagine all them quarterbacks that can run? That's crazy. Okay, where we at?
We are, with the Lions and the Bears, small bias of only 12 favored the Bears going into this game.
Good job by the bias. Bad job by me.
Oh, you didn't go with the bias on that one.
Well, I kind of got shanghaied because, and I'm embarrassed for a different reason. Being the fantasy guy that I am, I should have noticed that Matthew Stafford was indeed really injured. Like he's got some small fractures in his back or something.
Yeah.
And if I had been on top of that at the time that we posted our video last week, I probably would have changed my mind about that game. But they got me, so I took the Lions. I'm not gonna make excuses.
I'm telling you, it was a difficult, crazy weekend. All right.
It's not like Trubisky did anything.
The New York Football Giants. The New York, I can't say football Jets, can I? I should have.
You know why they call them the New York Football Giants, right?
Because there was a baseball team.
There was a baseball team called the New York Giants. That is correct.
Exactly. And the Jets. Bias plus. Favorite the Giants.
This was Manhattan versus Long Island.
Okay.
First of all, Daniel Jones threw for four touchdowns. So I'm extremely happy about that. He's 26 for 40, 308 yards. My man is an NFL quarterback. I love him. He's our future. That being said, please fix this defense. Please do something, Giants. The draft is coming. Okay, it'll get here. We're not going to the playoffs. We're not tanking either. I like to see the guys play hard. I really do. And the guys are playing for the jobs. The kid Slayton, since Sterling Shepard's been hurt, the kid Slayton and Golden Tate.
Tate's coming through for you a little bit.
Dude, I remember Eagle fans saying, man, we should have never got Golden Tate. He stinks. He's a bum. Now look at him. Was it him? Or was it y'all?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Maybe y'all don't know how to, handle talent and put guys in the best positions to win, which is what coaches are supposed to do.
He's a scrapper, man.
Absolutely. He's always been that way.
Like him and Doug Baldwin, those guys. That,
yes. Yes.
What's his name? Stephen A. Smith. No, that's Stephen A. Stephen Smith.
Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah, another one of those guys that just, they're going to catch balls and run and do,
Yep.
And however, the most disturbing stat on your Giants, they are number one in fumble giveaways.
It's awful.
And you can talk about your defense if you want, but if you continue to do that, and
and Daniel Jones does have a propensity to put the ball on the carpet when he gets hit. But if you're getting blindsided, I can't blame you for those. That's gonna happen. It's the arm swatting and the guys pulling and tugging on you when you know you're going down and you have to secure that thing. Those are the ones we can't afford to give up. And he's not the only one. Receivers are catching balls and fumbling. I don't know what was wrong with Saquon, but there's rumors that some of the beat writers have been looking at him funny and thinking that he's got an injury of some sort that they're not letting on.
Yeah, there's this whole conversation about, whether to sit him. And
they're talking about shutting him down for the season.
He's like, no.
He says no. The head coach says no. But the story, it's not necessarily a story, but the conversation's kind of out there floating around.
Messing around with the gift. All right. Bills at Browns. Bills, the score of 87 in their favor. What happened?
I thought this was going to be kind of a statement game for the Bills. I took the Bills. I lost this one too. I was horrible this week, y'all. I just want to let you know I really was. I lost. I only won like 3 games. But I thought this would be a good statement game for the Bills. Even though if they had won, people would just talk about how bad the Browns were again, because it's like Bash Brown season.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that this would be a good game for the Bills, especially on the road. And they tried. They put up effort, but they're kind of they're kind of the same team without all the extra Baker stuff.
Well, now all the super duper receivers and stuff, and yeah, the Baker.
Yeah, well, they really only have one top flight receiver, and that's John Brown. So
remember when I told you on the schedule when my Niners, I had to play the Browns, and I was surprised when Kareem Hunt came out. And sometimes you're all set to play a certain personnel, and then they bring that other guy in, and it's like, and in real life,
actually did that.
They actually did that.
They played him at receiver.
He's a lead blocker. He's running the ball. That's that Kansas City Chiefs talent that just got moved over to there.
Right, but we talk so bad about their coach. Let's give them some props. Their coaching staff put together as many ways as they could to use the talent of Kareem Hunt.
Look, let me tell you.
That's good work by them.
That was good work, man. That was good work. He is a talent. He creates problems, and he could be a big. But to use him as a lead blocker, that's Madden stuff. Yeah. That's kind of stuff you do in Madden. Yeah. You don't really do that too much. Yeah. It's like I use Juszczyk at tight end. Mm-hmm. They kind of acted like they wanted to do that with Kittle out, but they didn't really do it. They didn't really do it.
Well, see, they have the other tight end who's more of a blocker.
Lowy.
Yeah, he's more of a blocker than
he's 6'8". He was getting overthrown. Yeah, it was crazy. All right, well, who's up next here? Finishing up this week that was Ravens at Bengals.
It's probably the easiest one.
172.
I got this one right.
Bias plus score favored the Ravens. Well, you might be up in the 170 bias plus, which looks like a sure shot. It wasn't. In this game, it worked out. We'll talk about where it didn't work out, though. Holy mackerel. Man, oh man, the Shevitz. Well, anyway, go ahead.
Besides the big 172 bias plus, Stevie Wonder can see that the Ravens is better than the Bengals. The Bengals aren't better than too many other teams in the NFL right now. They can't stop anybody.
I don't know if Stevie Wonder knows football.
Really score. I would venture to guess that he does. I would venture to guess that he's a Lions fan.
Detroit.
Yeah. I would venture to guess. I actually have no idea. But yeah, Ravens got way too much for the Bengals. That was an easy one. That's not even worth talking about.
The spin move is going down in the annals.
They're going to be showing that one forever, man. That's going to lead his highlight tapes.
And especially once you spin and then you accelerate past everything.
Because he actually spun on two guys, if you go back and look at it
again. I think a third guy crashed into the two guys.
Yeah,
so something like that. Like three people. Remember, I used to tell you, our favorite player, Gale Sayers?
Yes.
And what I used to love to do on Gale Sayers is count the number of people who hit the dirt on a cut. Like he would cut and like four people would fall down.
Not blocked, not miss a tackle, just fall.
Just fall.
What they call breaking ankles nowadays. Yes.
That was a little more than that. Bias Buster of the Week. With a bias plus score favoring the Colts, the Dolphins said, and went on a 2-game winning streak. We're talking about the team who has come in this, even with that win, they are in absolute last place in the net points.
Even with that win.
With a minus 16.6 net points per game.
I don't even know.
I'm thinking, did Vegas, did the lights get turned out because they had to pay out so much money? Nobody's betting on. I mean, whoever bet on the Dolphins had to just walk away with half the casino or something.
Well, I see here that Jacoby Brissett is expected to practice in full for the Colts starting today's practice. So that means if he gets a full practice in today and tomorrow, then he will be back at the helm for the Colts. 1 week too late, brother. Y'all lost to the Dolphins. I have no clue. I would have to go back and really look at the stats of that game. That was a game that I paid no attention to whatsoever because it seemed like it was a really good team against a really bad team, and it turned out not to be that way. This is the kind of week, not just for me, but for the NFL as a whole, Vegas, the whole 9 yards. This is the kind of week that makes you remember the old Any Given Sunday. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This was really crazy.
It was a very difficult week relative to the net point rankings. But hey, that's what we like. We like when people beat the bias, you know? It's like
that's fun.
That's a fun thing.
It's fun to see, and it's usually very unexpected. So that's a good thing.
Speaking of, the Rams had a bias. Now, not a big one, but a bias of 22 favoring them over the Steelers. And then there was Minka. There was Watts. I mean, you got to control the line of scrimmage, man. I think we're going to have to pay. I'm thinking about a new series in this Ben and Barry called, or not as well, whatever, feature called The Great Disruptor. Like, we need to talk about who the great disruptor for every game was. Because usually there's at least one, if not two. You look at the Niners game, the great disruptor had to be Clowney in that game.
I would agree.
You know, he's an obvious. And I don't know if we would have predicted that. Especially, and I'm talking about tonight. We'll talk about that when it happens.
Yeah, we can get to that. But I'll tell you this. If, in fact, we were to take the time to do that, even right now off the top of our heads, you're going to come up with a lot of good pass rushers.
Well, you would think that the Rams had the great disruptor.
It's been quiet. When's the last time you heard his name on television? Even mentioned.
I think he was doing a charity event.
Exactly.
That was about
my point. Exactly. That game is basically a team who has fallen on hard times offensively after being a juggernaut just the year before, whose defense isn't any better and possibly a little bit worse than they were, running into a team whose defense all of a sudden is exploding and pulling their offense along. That's the way I look at it. That's how I see the Steelers. Their defense is firing on all cylinders right now, and they got a mediocre offense because they really only have one playmaking receiver who's not having a great year. He's having a good year, and James Conner. That's it.
Well, there you go. And they overcame last week. Moving on. All right. The P's. Panthers at the Packers. Bias plus of 33, favoring the Packers.
Bias got me on this one. I went with the Panthers. I did.
You want to try that again?
I have a sheet here with the teams and the games on it, and every week my partner here comes out with the sheet, and he gives me the bias pluses and the turnovers and the net points and all that and the matchups, and then I make my picks. And last week I made a lot of picks and then went back before we came on the air and scribbled them out and changed them. And more than I normally do. I might do one a week. I might change my mind. This week I did 1, 2, 3. I see 3 scribbles here and a half a scribble. But this was one of them. I picked the Packers. I scribbled them out. I went with the Panthers because I was just drunk with Christian McCaffrey.
That's what I was suspecting.
Yeah, and I should never let one factor like that overcome me, especially when they show going to Lambeau Field. That shame on me. Shame on me.
And
I feel really bad.
It's already December in Lambeau Field. It might be
it was
November
snowing in the
here,
game. It was
December there.
Gee whiz. Yeah, but thank you, Fantasy. Christian still got off, but yeah, Panthers couldn't win that game.
Next game up was my intriguing game of the week because I wrote about this. Again, you can go to the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings on Facebook at www.sterlingnppr.com. That'll take you there. Vikings at Cowboys. I said this would be a referendum on Dak's contract, and it might be. And it might be also a referendum on Kirk Cousins' contract because he might have got that thing extended. They're going to pay him.
They're not going to extend it.
Well, I don't mean extended. They're going to pay him. Like, the thing about these guarantees, these guaranteed contracts, they ain't so guaranteed. These guys can get out of these guarantees. They can have ways to get away around these things. And we're finding more and more about that now.
Well, they do buyouts.
Yeah, they've got a number of little tricks.
I'm sure there's more than one way to skin that cat, but I'm just saying, once they make it clear we don't want you anymore, and you're like, what, you owe me this much money, yeah, the lawyers start to get involved. But so you said you wrote a blog on this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we were talking about referendums on contracts for the starting quarterbacks for these two teams. I agree with you. More so with Dak because he's the one that actually needs a new contract. This roller coaster ride that he's on with I'm worth this much, look how I played, to maybe you're not worth that much, it's going to continue. And I think I saw a little blurb on the screen where they've pretty much stopped talking. So all this time during the season, there's been negotiations going on in the background for his contract, and they haven't come to any conclusion with this thing yet. And I don't think they're talking now. I think Jerry Jones is like, you know what? I need to let you concentrate on this because just saying you're better than Wentz ain't good enough anymore. Like, you have to win this division because if you don't win a division, you're not going to make the playoffs. And if you don't make the playoffs, you can't run around saying, well, I got one playoff win and Wentz doesn't. That ain't going to fly no more. So kudos to Jerry if he cut off negotiations and said, dude, let's go. Get your head right. We got to win ball games. I already paid Zeke. He's doing the best he can. The offensive line is what it is. It's not the greatest anymore, but it's still good.
They couldn't get 2 yards twice with Zeke.
I understand that.
And that's hard to to really think about it and say that makes sense because you figure Zeke's going to get 2 yards. He's just going to push the pile for 2 yards. Didn't happen.
But if a good defense like the Vikings knows that you're going to run the ball, they can feel it, they can see it, they can tell by the way you're lined up. They look at the situation, they know what your tendencies are. They're a good defense. They got a good chance to stop.
They didn't do much of the sleight of hand on those plays either. I thought they were going to come out with the man going in motion and some things happening.
Cowboys don't really do that a lot. They're more smash mouth. They're like, we're coming right at you. They don't do the deception thing like a lot of teams do. They might have to incorporate it.
Yeah, a lot of teams now, at the very least, they're handing off one, spinning around, throwing back in this direction, and you got to have something going on because you have to control the movement of the defense. These guys are good, and if if you're not getting that done, then you're going to wind up like they are right now. So, Vikings came in, another one where
I think I remember saying a good team like the Vikings, well, not just the Vikings, but I don't think teams are intimidated by going into Jerry's world. Remember I said that?
Yeah, you just said that.
Yeah, I don't think they were intimidated at all. They went right in there and took care of business.
They're like, oh, it's nice in here.
Yeah, it's probably a really nice, cushy. They're probably like, yeah, I wish our stadium was like this.
All right, Monday night, Seahawks at my 49ers.
What a game.
It was bad enough that Kittles was out. But when our kicker wound up not being there. I mean, he's money. He's money. So you figure if it's going to come down to a kick, you got that. You had a lot of disparaging things to say about some of our receivers. Our coach had
that will
something
continue
disparaging to say about Pettis. I don't know if you heard.
Thank you. I've been on Pettis since day one.
He said Pettis is going to have to step up.
What? That's it? That's all he said? He should have said that in the preseason.
Well, again, I think our receivers are serviceable, but no, we had
serviceable to who?
We had balls going off of people's hands. We didn't bail our quarterback out in cases where he got the ball off and balls banged. Bourne had one. He scored, but he had
Bourne had a good game. Bourne just jumps 2 spots up the depth chart.
Right, but he had balls coming off of his hand.
Okay, fine, but guess what? He also produced. So here's a guy who wasn't getting any targets, was barely getting splinters out of his butt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, scores a touchdown and makes some big plays. Okay, had a couple of hiccups. I'm sure he feels worse than anybody. And you got Marquise Goodwin and Pettis, who have been on the team for 2 years and probably have 10 catches between the two of them over 2 years. It's terrible. You call yourself an NFL receiver? Stop that. Pettis had no catches. There. None?
I understand.
I know he played. I saw him in the huddle.
Yeah, you're right.
How do you go an entire NFL? I don't care. How do you go an entire
Debo Samuels is showing off. Has taken that
again. Yeah. A rookie.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
A rookie and a bench dude are your best receivers.
But now but with all that being said, we lost that game at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Wide receiver talk is just
at the line of scrimmage.
It's just wide receiver
and
talk.
And Kittle changes everything.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Kittle changes everything. You put him in there, it's like gravity. It pulls defenses there. They know,
Yes.
I mean, his prolific, production is.
And he's a far better blocker than people give him credit for, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the Niners had the bias there. That's that top or capped off of our losing week, or a week where the bias did not hold in 70% of the games in that particular weekend.
It was awful.
Russell was Russell. When they can make you play 11 on 11.
Right.
And when it came time to play 11 on 11, we didn't get that done. Our defense was good. And I'll be quite honest with you. As much as I talked about Bosa early on, but Bosa needs to be the spy, I believe. He's got the type of agility and speed that if you're going to have situations where you got these running quarterbacks now, you got to have somebody that is athletic enough to really spy these guys. Yeah.
Not your top pass rusher. You can't use your top pass rusher as a spy, bro. That's a waste.
We have enough pass rush that a
rookie just came in and became your top guy.
He can become the spy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. We can do all that's absolutely wrong. Okay. You're totally wrong.
He could be the spy. Okay. So that wraps up last week. We are moving toward the Bias Plus report, also known as
the Matchup Show.
The Matchup Show.